Hi, this is Susan Specht Oram, author of the Millersville Thriller series. That's a lot to say in one mouthful. And Under Jackson Bridge just recently came out. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about a writer's life and process today. It's a gorgeous June day, and I'm here with my writing assistant, Abby. And she is not responding because she's lying in the sun. Part of my process is I draft a book and let the characters speak to me, and I have an idea of where the book will start and where it might end, but I let the characters work that out and then jigger with the plot, figure it out later. But then after I'm done drafting the book, I let it sit for 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. And I think Stephen King recommended that in his book on writing, by the way. So what I'm doing now, I just finished drafting Missing Man, the next book in the series that I'm writing, Beyond the Bridge, a new series. And so I've got Under Jackson Bridge, which is an exciting story about a close group of friends, and they go out on a 3-hour boat trip, a little nod to Gilligan's Island there, if you're a fan of that from way back in the day. And so they go out on this boat trip to celebrate a friend's promotion. And everybody's got their own agenda. The weather isn't the best. They haven't been hanging out together in a while. If you just heard a car, that was my 95-year-old neighbor who goes and works out every day at the gym, which is mighty cool. So I say to my husband, be like Bud, who's working in his yard and doing great things. All right, so too many asides. So here we are. We're on the 3-hour boat trip, but Irina Fishbone, our heroine, she is a expert about fixing boat engines, and she runs a boat rescue company, and she's got the best boat. Anyway, you can see photos on Facebook and YouTube of boats like this that Irina has. So she goes out and rescues boats that call the Coast Guard in distress. They might be sinking. And okay, so we'll finish the story about Under Jackson Bridge. So they're out on the boat trip, and they've got time pressure. The clock is ticking, and the daughter, Kelly, Irina's daughter, she's 13 years old. She's got a dance recital she needs to get back to. And why did they go on this stupid boat trip anyway with the time restraint? But they all wanted to have a good time, but nobody is having a good time. And then Irina Fishbone, main character, her ex-husband, Jack, refuses to put on a life jacket. And the weather's coming in, they turn around, and the tide is turning, and they miss slack tide. Anyway, a rogue wave rears up, and there's Irina, our heroine, and Jack, her ex-husband, on the bow, and she's learning things about his situation and why he's cranky that day. But he doesn't have a life jacket on, and they're both swept by the rogue wave overboard into the Salish Sea. And so Fidalgo Island, where I live, and Anacortes, Washington, is located on. We are surrounded by the Salish Sea here. So my husband and I owned a boat for 5 years, longer actually, but the most recent boat. And we were out for 6 months at a time using it all, and I could work from the boat, which is mighty cool. But anyway, back to our main story. So it's an exciting book, Under Jackson Bridge, and the story of Irina and her travails and challenges trying to put together what happened to Jack, her ex-husband. He's missing. Did he intend to go? And what are these secret clues to another life that he left behind in his apartment? And so much is afoot. And if you've read the other books that I've written, they all take place in a fictional version of Anacortes, Washington, called Millersville. And so different characters from past books pop up and help solve the puzzle of where's Jack, because the Coast Guard's looking for him, Irina's looking for him in her boat, everyone goes out and searches, and we find out that there's much more afoot than just Jack being missing, swept overseas. So anyway, that was a long preamble to I finished drafting the next book in the new series, and it's called The Missing Man, and it's really an interesting story, I think. I'm letting it sit and bake while I read other books and do book marketing. For instance, if you sign up for my newsletter, I just ran a drawing today for newsletter subscribers for one free signed paperback copy, US entries, and a little poster too. So I picked somebody who won, and I'll send that out in the coming days. But it's fun for me to give away books occasionally, signed copies, because it delights readers, and I want to make people read my books. I want to make readers happy. And so when I write books, I think about what are readers looking for in a story, and what do they expect, and is this believable? For instance, in Under Jackson Bridge, a few people have commented, and two actually on Amazon reviews, and said, oh, instead of a 5-star review, I'm giving Under Jackson Bridge 4 stars because the story wasn't quite believable in a few parts. But I would like to say that there are people with sneaker fetishes. I know someone who collects sneakers, and they will spend thousands of dollars on a pair of sneakers that aren't even their size, and they won't wear them. So this is just a form in my mind of another addiction or hoarding issue. Don't I sound judgmental there? Sorry. But anyway, there are people who will spend gobs of money on sneakers. There are people who will go into debt to buy things they don't need. And we have a friend who sadly passed away during the pandemic, but she hoarded toilet paper. I'm sorry, it's not funny. Filled her second bedroom with that. Anyway, hoarding and addictions are real issues, and I try to tackle those in a kind and measured manner in Under Jackson Bridge. And then another point that people might not have believed in Under Jackson Bridge is Irina Fishbone goes out and saves a sinking vessel. A boat calls out in distress to the Coast Guard, and she helps them. And one thing you can do that Irina did was you can pound toilet bowl wax that you buy at the hardware store. You can pound chunks of that into a hole of the boat or a pillow, and shove something in that hole. If you've run into a rock and got a hole in your hull of your boat, then you can smash this toilet bowl wax in there. And frankly, we had that happen to us, and sadly we did hit a rock in the San Juan Islands of Washington, and it's one of the top 10 most hit rocks. And so it's a very traumatic day. I haven't been able to write about it yet, because even though it happened, I'm guessing in 2018, it was just, we were sinking, and we called for help, and this fast boat, the type that Irina Fishbone has in Under Jackson Bridge, they came out at 50 miles an hour and rescued us. The boat was so fast they had to wear safety harnesses so they didn't fly out of the seats. So they used toilet bowl wax to, it's a fairly big gash in our hull at the bow. And so they managed to shove that in there and get a pump going. So anyway, sometimes people doubt what's real in a book that I've written, but these things could happen. Like said the defensive author in Cabin 8, there are Amazonian tree frogs, little tiny green frogs, and their skin does exude, secrete something that if cooked over a fire, you can see for days. You can run in the forest for hours and not eat and see in the dark, I was told. And this was, it can be made synthetically. So I tucked that weird little true fact into my book Cabin 8, which is more of a surreal, speculative, psychological thriller. But you can check that out if you wish. Okay, so the last thing, the reason why I started talking on this gorgeous June day and without my writing assistant, who's still sacked out, is I drafted the second book in the series, Missing Man, and my husband was in the hospital, unfortunately, for 2 nights in April. It was so stressful that the doctors, there were so many medical staff in his room all the time. One morning we finally I slept by his side in a recliner, and because sometimes when you're in the hospital it's really scary and you don't remember what the doctors are telling you, or you can't verbalize, your symptoms, or you can't find your call button. That happened to Jerry, my husband. And by the way, his given name is George Oram, and he was a professional trumpet player with the Pacific Northwest Ballet Orchestra in Seattle for years, and on call with the Symphony, Seattle Symphony, and he worked at the Fifth Avenue Theater with many, many famous singers and actors who came through. But that's a story for another day. I'm trying to get him to be interviewed on my YouTube channel, because he's had this fascinating life growing up in little Boise with 16,000 people in it, and now it's a big town. But anyway, I will stop talking about that. I digress once again. So, finished Missing Man, and part of it is a medical thriller. And so you'll have to read. My arm's getting tired, so I'm going to switch hands. I've been talking too long. And there's my big fat finger. Okay, so thanks for listening so long, and I'll get to the point. So after I finish drafting a story, I let it sit, and then I have fun just reading for 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And so I've been reading like a fiend, library books I've had on the shelves, books in my Kindle, and ARCs through NetGalley, and so it's just so much fun to set my story aside, let it bake in my subconscious, and then after 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, I'll go back to Missing Man, and I think I'll change one of the medical details about it, and I won't tell you what that is, but I just spoke with the doctor, and I thought, well, I better change that one important detail about what happens to this person. And then I'm thinking something different has to happen at the end that leads us into the third book in the series. And so anyway, I've been blabbing. I really love to hear from you. If you want to shoot me an email, you can do that at my last name, speckoram@gmail.com. Anything but solicitations, please. And I guess that's it for today. And we'll take a last look at my writing assistant. Sometimes she gets up here on the swing. No, oh, some interest. No. Abby, come. Good girl, come on. Let's see if she can appear. I'm a fan of drinking, come on, up. Drinking jasmine tea, and there's my awful neck. Okay, so there she is. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with me, and it's a gorgeous day, and I hope wherever you are it is too. And I hope you look at my books. They're on Barnes & Noble in paperback, Amazon right now. They're in Kindle Unlimited. Maybe in 2-3 years I'll stop being on KU. But right now, I want many readers to read my books, as many as possible. And I think that helps. Amazon, you can find them, Audible, iTunes, and through Watermark Book Company in Anacortes, Washington. You can get a signed copy. And someday, a few years down the road, I'll start a Shopify store on my website. But right now, I just want to write books and enjoy my life with my husband and my dog. All right, I hope you're happy too, wherever you are. Take care. Bye-bye.